Hello, this is Matthew Robert Payne. This is chapter 9 of Reframing Heaven, Heaven Reframed.
Thank you. This chapter 9 is quite an interesting one. This is where you realize Jesus is still being chosen, even beyond what you understood on her. It's quite interesting when you listen to other religions and they tell you their understanding of what heaven is going to look like for them. For us Christians, for a long time, I used to think there's no food in heaven. I remember when I first of all met Matthew, and in those early days, I spoke to my husband, and my husband was speaking to our daughter, Ilana, then. She was still 6 then, in one of our first conversations with our dad. And my husband said, "Oh, the shower. I went into the shower in heaven and it was so cold. I ran out. I didn't set the shower into the right temperature." And I was thinking, you shower in heaven? So many things. I'm like, how will you assume that you do something on earth, but you're not going to do that in heaven? So, yes, the Muslims as well, they have their beliefs like, when you get to heaven, you have so many wives. I've forgotten how the belief is phrased, so I don't want to say what I don't know. But there's this reward that you get more wives when you do something on earth. I don't know. But every one of us has our own different definition of what heaven is. But whether you know Jesus or not, it doesn't really matter. There's so many people that have had to choose him in heaven. People that have been in witchcraft before, that they knew nothing about Jesus. All the things they've heard from Lucifer is Jesus is the devil. They get to heaven over time now. They've come to understand and know Jesus on a personal level. You've got people like Buddha that spoke in previous chapter. Is a very close friend of Jesus. So when the choice felt time limited, the choice might feel like EA is time limited. Because this is where you believe the decision was over, that whatever you decided on heart was final. If you're a Christian on earth, that means you're a Christian forever. That once life ended, these opportunities, no more choosing, no more responding, no more understanding, just how come? No, it is a lie. There's opportunity for you to choose, for you to be a friend of Jesus for the rest of your life. And if you're honest, this is what many of us quietly believe, that you either choose Jesus here or you never get the chance again. That eternity begins with a fixed decision based on a limited understanding. But something about that felt incomplete, because how can a choice be eternal? A choice you make on academy. If it was never fully understood, how can a response be final? Because no one understood the salvation really well. I was in church. I didn't understand what it is, where I was going. I was so scared of that. So if truth was never fully revealed, why can't you continue that relationship in heaven when you've got a good understanding of who Jesus is? So the idea that Jesus is only, you choose Jesus here or not, you only knew him here and that's it. No, because what you knew on earth was shaped by what you were taught, what you experienced, what you misunderstood. They are fragments, interpretations, partial revelations. Even though Jesus spoke to me for almost 2 decades through my husband, I still knew fragments about Jesus. I didn't even ask Jesus about himself. The conversation was always about me, 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 me. Now I know better that maybe Jesus even needed my help then, but I was so stubborn that Jesus had to be persuading me, telling me, Tolu, you have to do this. We keep talking about the same thing all the time. So I didn't know who Jesus was. I knew the fragment of Jesus. There's so many things about Jesus that I've come to know in this past 2.5 years. So why won't I continue to learn that journey when I get to heaven? And for the ones that did not have the opportunity to choose, why would they not have the opportunity to choose? Yes, so you might go to heaven with your religion, with your label, but that doesn't mean that you will never experience Jesus, because you cannot reject what you have not truly seen. Because this is where everything needs to reframe, because a true choice requires clarity, it requires revelation, it requires encounter. And that encounters matters, not secondhand, not assumed, not inherited like I did, but real, personal, undeniable. Before Jesus, Because Jesus is a person, rather. Jesus is a person. It's not a concept. It's not a doctrine. It's not a religion. He is a person that solves, a person that eats, a person that plays, a person that cries, a person that feels. He's got emotions. And a person is meant to be known. Just like Papa is meant to be known. Jesus is meant to be known. Holy Spirit is meant to be known. These people want to be known because they're a person. They've got emotions. Still being chosen. So God will still want to be chosen by you. Jesus will still want to be chosen by you, not imposed, but something that you've come to understand. Because love invites, it doesn't force. Even now, the invitation remains not as pressure, not as demand, but as truth revealed, love extended, presence experienced. And the heart still has a voice because God never removes your will, your response, your ability to choose. He never removes it. And even in heaven, you still have that with you. So, beyond what you understood on that, because art was not the full picture, what you experienced here was limited by time, by knowledge, by exposure. There is no way me and Matthew can tell you we know everything about heaven. I'm sure we don't even know 5% of what heaven is. But at least our experiences, we can share it, but we know one day we will be able to fully experience it because we will be present, we will be aware, we will know what is going on. So it is not a frozen state of final awareness. Eternity is not static. It is a place of unfolding, discovering, recognizing. So this is not about delay. It's about clarity. This is not saying choices does not matter. This is saying true choice requires true saying. Just like Enoch, when we're speaking to Enoch this morning, it says something about seeing differently. It said that's what people, when people leave Christianity, or I've forgotten, when they deconstruct, that means they are seeing differently. It says something about sight. So of course, it's sometimes until you get to heaven, that's when you truly see who Jesus is. And God is not hiding himself. He's not obscure. It's not distance. It's not withholding truth. He is revealing, inviting, and making himself known through so many avenues, through so many messages that he's been given in heaven. So the fear that falls away is because now you no longer see God as rushing decisions. I don't see him now I don't see him as a closing doors, like if I don't know him now, that's it, or judging without clarity, because I see him now as a father who reveals before he receives, who shows before he acts, and who invites before he expects. So the shift needs to begin from here, that fear-based finality is not God. Incomplete assumption is not God. Limited understanding is not God. And God is merciful, and he will allow you in, whether you know just a fragment of him or you know all. So far, your heart is right. So, thank you. And I pass on to Mary.
So many may be surprised by this, but there's a lot of people who exist in heaven that don't really know Jesus at any depth. Jesus used to, up until a few months ago, used to visit everyone in heaven every week, and he stopped doing that because he got worn out. He got a little tired and a bit overrun with meeting people that had no interest in having intimacy with him. There's people in heaven, whether you believe it or not, there's people in heaven that are complacent, that are happy, that have arrived in paradise, and they're happy just to enjoy themselves and don't really want to pursue a deep and abiding relationship with Jesus. And Jesus used to meet with everyone every week in heaven, and then decided to step back and only meet with people that are willing to pursue him, wanting to pursue him. So there's, surprisingly enough, the people from other faiths pursue him, but it's quite amazing that a lot of people who identify as Christians don't really pursue Jesus. a famous teacher on the earth. I'm forgetting her name right now. She said only 10% of Christians pursue intimacy with Jesus. Only 1 in 10 Christians are really interested in becoming close to Jesus. And that's a real sad thing, and that equates to heaven too. So people from other faiths, like witches in heaven, that make it to heaven, you may be surprised that what Christians call the enemy of God actually make it to heaven, because there's really good-hearted witches. They pursue Jesus, are intimate with Jesus, and on fire for Jesus. But Jesus is revolutionary to them. Jesus is surprisingly different to Lucifer, who they served all their life. He's kinder, and their relationship is richer and more intimate. So Jesus remains the light of heaven. He's the direction of heaven. He's the King of heaven. And Jesus is someone that you certainly can pursue in heaven and get to know on a really deep basis.
Thank you, Matthew. So for this chapter, I will want Sadhu Sundarsingh to speak to this chapter, which is, the title again is, this is where you realize Jesus is still being chosen, even beyond what you understood on earth.
So many people on earth probably aren't aware of who I am. I was an apostle, or I was an evangelist that preached Jesus, and I came to know Jesus in a surprising manner. One day, I'd had enough of my Hindu faith. I was training to be a Hindu priest, and I didn't find any answers in my Hinduism, and I said to God in my bedroom, if you don't turn up, if you're there, turn up and show yourself to me. Otherwise, if you don't turn up, I'm going to throw myself under the 6 o'clock train. And before 6 o'clock came, Jesus turned up in my room, introduced himself to me, and I became a Christian. I sought out Christians and found out that I got a Bible and was reading the Bible in my native language. I found out Christians weren't acting anything to do like Jesus, and then got this idea, I surmise from the Holy Spirit, to become a holy man, to become a Hindu holy man. I dressed up in a saffron robe and went from town to town and just begged and allowed people to give me money. And I just preached Jesus instead of the Hindu God. So the Hindu people really admire a Hindu priest and Hindu holy man, and they looked after me. I come to know Jesus in a real way, in an intimate way. I developed the ability to heal. I developed the ability to preach the gospel and be compelling in my knowledge. And since I've been in heaven, I've really grown deeper and deeper in my faith with Jesus, and come to really love him. And Jesus is an open person in heaven. He's relatable, he's lovable, he's kind, he's generous, he's compassionate, he's long-suffering, and you can really grow to great heights in heaven and be given great responsibility if you pursue Jesus and make him the center of your life.
Thank you, Sadhu. So to close this chapter, the reframe, Jesus is not limited to what you understood and heard. He is not confined to the fragments you were given. He's still being revealed, still being known, still being chosen. Not forced, but encountered. And when you begin to see that, you realize the invitation was never about pressure. It was always about recognition. God bless.
Okay, see you later.